Victor, down to your left. Last night, Anton Strawman said he asked you how you make these plays, and he said you kind of shrugged it off. I was wondering if you can enlighten us how you make some of those plays out there.
Well, I try to take advantage of my speed, obviously, and try and take what's there. And yesterday was a great play from Strauss to Cali, and I was able to get up in the rush and then try and put the puck to the net. And I think that goal was set it went hard to the net and got a stick on it. But for me, it's all about trying to make the plays that's there and don't try and force things too much, but try and use my strengths as a player.
Victor, down to your right. John talked a lot about the evolution of your game and just growth as a young defenseman. I'm curious, when you didn't make the Swedish Olympic team last year, what did that do to you kind of mentally, or what was it a source of motivation for you?
I don't know if motivation is the right word. You're obviously disappointed not to make a team that you fight for, but at the same time, we had a game that night in Winnipeg, so it's kind of easy for me to kind of switch focus to that and focus on Tampa. And I was trying to improve as a player, obviously every year, and try to bring my game to another level. And I don't think motivation is the right word. But you're always disappointed not to represent your country on such a big stage.
Steven, Victor said the other day that when he was injured, he looked to you as an example and the injury you'd gone through and the way that you came to the rink with a good attitude and everything. What did you see from him as he was going through that, a year later? And did you guys talk about that and your experiences at all?
Well, I think both of us are the same when it comes to not being able to help your team. You're frustrated at the fact that you can't go out there and be a difference, but you can still be a difference coming to the rink, like you said, motivated to come back. And I think it helps just being around the guys. And, when you go through injuries like that, it's tough. But if you have that attitude, I know it can be contagious to some of the guys on the team as well. So you never want to go through those situations, but if you can come back, and I think that helps you as a player too, just getting to the rink, being around the guys, and Heddy was no different. So obviously we're just glad to be in the position we are right now.
Steven, were you as surprised as everyone else when Victor didn't make the Swedish Olympic team, and could you talk to him at all about maybe the disappointment of 2010 for you?
I don't think there was much discussion about that. I mean, if we didn't get asked the questions here today, I don't think anyone would be talking about that, to be honest. So I think in a heartbeat, we would both trade the opportunity to be where we are today. And that's the exciting thing is, we're 2 games away from our ultimate dreams. And I think everyone wants to represent their country on the highest stage. But as a kid growing up wanting to be an NHL player, first and foremost, I think you want to win a Stanley Cup. And we've been fortunate enough to be put in the position that we are right now to be 2 games or 2 wins away from ultimately our dreams. So I think that is our main focus right now.
For both of you guys, you've been through a couple situations in the postseason, 3-0 up against Montreal, up 3-2 against the Rangers. Have those moments maybe prepared you to handle a 2-1 lead in the Stanley Cup final, especially knowing the team on the other side?
Yeah, I think we've been able to grow as a team through all these different experiences in the playoffs, and you kind of get the ball rolling. Who knows what's going to happen next game? We have to be prepared for, either being up 3-1 or the series tied. We've had that same mentality coming into every game that you can only control, our structure, our work ethic, our compete, and whatever happens. It's a roller coaster of emotions throughout these playoffs, and our group has responded every time, whether it be a big win or a tough loss. And last game was a big win for our group, and I've said it now the past couple of days, we're finding some consistency at the right time, and we're able to deal with those different emotions. And that's when you need it the most, is at this time of the year, being able to respond to a big win and respond to a tough loss, and our group has been able to do that, and it's just continually gotten better as we've gone through this process together.
Question for both Victor and Steven. Similar subject. Ask Victor first. John said yesterday twice, pregame and then postgame, described your performance in these playoffs as a coming out party. A few minutes ago, Brian Boyle described it the same way. How would you characterize your performance throughout the postseason as you've gotten to this stage?
Well, I think it's easy for an individual to get better when you play with such great teammates, and it's no difference for me. I always want to go out there and try and make a difference both ends of the ice, but I mean, for an individual, I think you need the whole team behind you, and I'm fortunate enough to be on this team, and yes, the resiliency we showed throughout the playoffs, and we had some adversity, but every time we faced some, we bounced right back. So I think it's much easier like I said, as an individual to get better and try and rise to the occasion. But it's just the team and the team itself that matters most.
On Victor, everybody talks about how it's important to have a stopper that's hot in the playoffs, but Victor's performance in these playoffs, that just for you emphasized the paramount importance of having a bona fide number one defenseman.
Well, I wouldn't even say it's a coming out party. That phrase is used because of the stage that we're on, and people are finally getting to see Victor. We see him every day, so it's not a surprise to us. I've been fortunate enough to play with him since he came into the league, and coming in as an 18-year-old defenseman, that's probably the toughest position to come in with such high expectations. You see him mature as a player, as a person, evolve as a leader on this team. And, this is a big stage, and obviously there's a lot of attention, so people are beginning to see Victor on a world stage now. In this room, we knew he was that player all along. And, it takes time in this league. And I think every great player, you have to start somewhere. And it's been impressive to watch, but you said it. He's been an absolute beast for us out there, and very rare do you see the combination of size and speed and smarts, and you need really good defensemen at this time of the year. You look across and see Chicago with the guys they have. Well, I think the guys on our team are just getting that notoriety now because of the stage that we're on. They've been unbelievable players for us all season long.
Steven, this Blackhawks team has been historically pretty good when trailing in a series. What difference in their game do you anticipate now with them chasing a little bit?
Well, we're going to get their best. We have to be prepared for that. I think we saw it in the first period yesterday when they can get on a roll. But good teams, and we're certainly there. You find ways to win games, and they've done the same for a long time now. So we have to expect that. I don't think anything's going to surprise us. They're going to come out extremely hard. This is the situation we were in after game one, and we found a way to respond. They're going to respond. So this is going to be a good test for this group. Obviously, they have the experience, but we're going through it. And like I said to Eric a couple minutes ago, you have to go through these situations to gain that experience, and we've seemed to rise to the occasion every round, and it gets magnified now with how big these games are, but we've said it all along. We have confidence in our group, and we want to continue to build on that.
Steven, even with the loss in that first game against Chicago, if you just take a look at the collective way that this team has played for the first 3 games of the series, are you playing your best hockey right now as a team, do you think, in the playoffs?
Well, definitely the most consistent, and you go back to Game 7 against the Rangers, that's 4 in a row where we've given ourselves a chance to win every game. It's not going to happen. We saw that in Game 1. But we've learned our lessons pretty quick, whether it's having to come back like we did last night, did that in previous series. We gave up a tough lead in Game 1. We were in that situation Game 2. We learned from that. So that's all you can ask for as a group, is to go through these situations and get better the next time you're in them. And that's what makes it so fun. You never know what's going to happen in these games, and you just have to be ready for every situation.
Question for Victor. I'm just wondering if you could describe when John decides to dress 7 defensemen, how does it change sort of the flow of the game for you and for the 6 other guys. I mean, or I guess the 5 other regular defensemen. What is the difference between having a traditional 6 defenseman set and adding that 7th guy for you guys?
I don't think it's changed too much. Other than the fact that you maybe have to play on both sides, both the left and the right side. But we have 7 capable defensemen who can play on this stage, and to see Nesty, step in and play the way he does has been impressive. So, we got 7 guys that can really play, and we just have to be focused on the task. And it doesn't matter if we dress 6 or 7 defensemen. We know that everyone is going to go out there and do the best they can for us to have success, and that's been the case throughout the whole playoffs.
Big difference matchup-wise?
Well, on the road it's obviously tougher to get those matchups, but we try and we're comfortable with the 4 lines and the 7D to go up against anyone, and but obviously, I mean, so it doesn't really change too much for us.
Steven, you talked a lot about this team's quiet confidence in the course of the postseason. You mentioned last night's kind of been snowballing since this series has been going on. How unique is that compared to teams you've been on in the past, and how does it kind of manifest itself during games when you're in tough spots?
Well, I think this is the most talented group I've ever played with. You see the depth, and we talk about it a lot, but you don't get this far without different guys stepping up in different moments, and it's tough out there. You need that secondary scoring, which we've gotten, and the guys have played with that confidence since day one. I mean, it's just that's the approach that we have as a team, and obviously it starts from management down to coaching staff, down to the leaders, to the players, to the goalies. Everyone has confidence in each other, and sometimes that's a tough thing to get, but when you have it, you try to run with it as long as you can, because it is so precious in this game. And the way we've been able to play on the road, I think has been the thing that's impressed us and probably a lot of people. We didn't have a great record during the season and on the road. That was something a lot of people talked about, but it's just our willingness to play that tight checking game, knowing that if there's limited scoring chances, that we have the talent and the depth that if we get those 1 or 2 at the end, that we can find a way. And I think we've learned since the beginning of the playoffs that it might not happen the first shift. It might not happen with 5 minutes left. It might happen with 3 minutes left like it did last game. So when you have that confidence, it's easy to look down the bench to the guy beside you knowing that he could be a hero, and everyone has the confidence in each other in that regard.